What is going on, guys? Paul Ryan back at it again. I hope everybody's having a good night. A couple of weeks ago, I talked about how re signing Rico Dowdle would low key be a good move. And while I still believe that to be true, seeing that the Cowboys open up cap space the last couple of days with the restructuring of Dak Prescott's contract and CeeDee Lamb's contract, opening up that much cap space, it has me wondering maybe, we speculate what Cowboys are going to do next. Of course, we know Micah Parsons is going to be a guy that we bring back. It's talked about Jay Lou being the next move, the next domino to fall in contract talks. One thing I was thinking is we're hearing a lot about how Ashton Genty is predicted to go in the top 10, maybe even the top 7 of the draft. We've also heard a lot about how the Cowboys, if they don't take a running back at the top 12, that by the time they get to pick 44, their top guys, the top tier guys, could be wiped out even at pick 44. So they'll either have to reach for a guy at 12, like an Omarion Hampton, who some people don't think is a reach. If you're getting a good player, right, it's hard to call that a reach. But let's just say, for conversation's sake, that they have to reach for Omarion Hampton at pick 12. If they don't do that, then by the time they get to pick 44, their top tier guys won't be there. So then they might have to wait until round 5, hoping that somebody falls there and kind of picking through the scraps. And while we've seen day 3 guys have a lot of success in the NFL, no disrespect to them, but I'm just saying that the lower tiered guys are what they're going to have to pick from. What if the Cowboys, instead of having to draft a guy in the first round pick or reach for a guy in the first round or um, pick from the lower tier guys. What if they went in free agency and signed a guy? And a guy that I think makes a lot of sense for the Cowboys, Najee Harris of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's going to be a free agent this year. He's only 26 years old, and I was looking at his stats. He has, on average, giving you over 1,000 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns per game, over 35 receptions a year, and on average, for his career, he'll give you over 1,500 total all-purpose yards for his career. At age only 26, I think that's pretty good. And you think about the teams that Najee Harris has been on. He hasn't really had a quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger. He had Matt Canada, one of the worst offensive coordinators in the NFL. And then we saw this past year, he had one of his better years. And would you look at that? He had a better quarterback play in Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, who in my opinion, aren't on the same caliber as Dak. He had a better offensive coordinator and a I forget the name of the. He was a former coach of the Atlanta Falcons. His name is I'm drawing a blank on his name, but somebody who had success as a coordinator in Tennessee. Made a lot of head scratching, interesting decisions as a head coach there in Atlanta. People didn't really care for um, the way that he used Bijan Robinson his rookie year. Just he's a better coordinator than he was a head coach. I say all that to say we saw him in a decent situation last year, have success again, having over 1,000 yards. I believe having over 300 receiving yards, and again having I believe he had 8 total touchdowns. I know 7 rushing touchdowns for sure. You put him with this Cowboys team with Dak Prescott, this offensive line, and then with the Clayton Adams, who we've seen have success with James Conner and the success that he's had with offensive lines. I think he makes a lot of sense as a Cowboy. He's got the Alabama pedigree, so he's played in big games. He's played in big games, big moments. I believe he won at least one national title his time in Alabama. I know he's not a sexy name per se, but he makes a lot of sense. And I think even if you were to sign Najee Harris, you could kind of put yourself in a position where you don't have to necessarily reach on a guy in the first round. You don't have to reach for a guy at pick 44, and you can just find yourself another backup or a running mate, a change of pace type of guy in the fifth rounds on day 3, and you can use that first round pick, your first and second round pick on, like maybe a defensive tackle, cornerback, even somebody on the offensive line, which is, I was listening to a conversation with Brian Broaddus and Voch Lombard. I don't know if it was Brian Broaddus. Think it was Jeff Kavanaugh and Brian Broaddus. And Brian Broaddus talked about the thought of maybe Cowboys go an offensive line. I know he was having a conversation with Vash Lombardi. He's in a position that Cowboys fans should get comfortable with. The Cowboys drafting at pick 12 is cornerback. And I think if you were to just address certain needs in free agency, I know Jerry Jones said that he didn't think that the Cowboys had a lot of needs that they would address in free agency. But if you were to go out and get a guy like Najee Harris, not only would you put yourself in a position to not have to worry about reaching or missing out on a guy in the draft, but you give yourself a veteran presence, an experienced guy, and somebody that we've seen have success. You know, it took we saw last year we brought back Zeke and we signed Dalvin Cook, thinking that those guys were going to give us something in case Rico didn't pan out. Well, neither one of those guys did much of anything, and it took that coaching staff and the front office. You know, probably safe to say the front office had a decision in that as well. But we saw that Rico ended up being the better player, and that he should have been the starter the whole time. If you again don't want to worry about missing out on a guy, you know, in the draft, if you miss out on a player, and then you go into the season with, you know, do you want to go into the season with a Deuce Vaughn and a day three guy? I know I don't. I don't think that'd be wise. Of course, I don't know who's going to be there on day three, right? But I'd feel a lot better about our offense, especially with that coming back from his injury, if we had an experienced veteran back there in the backfield, um, to pair with a rookie running back. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like the idea of bringing in Najee Harris? Of course, price depending. I don't know what kind of money we can expect from him, but I don't think he'll be breaking the bank. But would you rather sign like a Rico Dowell, or is there another veteran name that you think the Cowboys should go after, or do you still like the idea of maybe Ashton Genty or Marion Hampton being the pick at pick 12? Let me know in the comments, guys. Of course, as always, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm Paul Ryan. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.